Group size isn't the only variable, just because I know that that's influenced quite a bit by me. In case you didn't believe me about the excavator, it's right there. Hopefully didn't wreck an arrow. 3 shots, 60 yards, Sever 2.0. All around it. It is interesting to note that the broadheads that did the worst on the analysis of their specs also did the worst in group shooting. All right, everybody, today we're testing 4 different mechanical broadheads to pick which broadhead is going to be my broadhead for antelope hunting. Today we have the Beast, we have G5 Deadmeat, Sevr 2.0, and then the Evolution Hyde. But what we're going to do now is we're going to shoot our practice heads, get a group size, distance from the middle, and then we're going to shoot our broadheads and compare. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go back and do some calculations on some values that are important to me of the broadhead. We're also going to shoot the practice heads for all the broadheads except for the Sevr, which has a practice mode, so that will get a good score in group size compared to field points and broadheads, just because the broadheads can act as field points. The other ones do have separate points, so we're going to test those against each other as well. There's a couple flaws with this. Yes, I'm the one shooting. We're doing it at 60 yards just because that's where I can get a more consistent group size and still have enough dispersion to tell the difference. We have tuned bare shaft, broadhead, and paper tuned the Darton Sequel ST2 33, which is the bow that we're using today. So let's go ahead and get started. First things first, we're going to shoot our control group, which is going to be our field points. I'm going to shoot one practice group just to get us warmed up, and then we'll get started. All right, now we'll shoot our first group of practice heads. First 3 were our practice arrows I hadn't shot before I came to the range. This is our first group at 60 with our field points. I'm going to put the middle of the group kind of at the low edge of this dot, somewhere in here. So distance from the center, we'll call 2 inches on the dot. In total group size, we're going to take the farthest point 4. So I guess we'll call it a 4-inch group at 60 yards. A little bit low center, 2 inches outside of the dot. I'm going to go ahead and mark that and pull these so we can shoot our first set of broadheads. First set of broadheads, we have the Beast. We'll shoot 3 arrows. We have spun all these arrows to make sure that they're flying good. I'm good through paper, and I've broadhead tuned out to 70. So where these go is where they go. Give these a shot, quite literally. First up, we have the Beast. 60 yards, 3 arrows. That was me. We'll reshoot that one. I should have let down. That was a better shot. Just to be fair to the Beast, I'm going to shoot one more. That's a little bit better. All right, I did shoot one extra with the Beast only because I got distracted. There's someone doing excavation at the house that's beside the range. Kind of startled me, and I punched the crap out of this one, so it only felt fair. We're only going to shoot 3 arrows for all the other ones, but one thing I noticed is the opening size right in the cardboard immediately is actually quite small, and then when you kind of pull it back through is when it opens up. So I'm not sure how deep in there it opens up. Max to min is about 5 inches, and I'd put the center of it probably about in here, which is probably about 1.5 inches from the center of our field point group, which is this little mark here. Beast did pretty well. This one could be me, but the group all in all kind of seems right there. That one was the excavator behind me that I'm sure you can hear through this. Maybe not, but anyway, group size isn't the only variable, just because I know that that's influenced quite a bit by me. Stay tuned, we have some more analytics we're doing after we do group sizes. In case you didn't believe me about the excavator, it's right there. All right, next up we're doing the Beast practice heads. So not only do we want to know how well the broadheads fly, but we want to see where the field points go in respect to the broadheads, because if they're not together, then there's really no point in having the practice broadheads. That was right there. All right, here's the Beast practice heads. I don't think I got it on the GoPro. These are a little bit right too. It could very well be that that's just my sight tape. I did move it yesterday, so maybe it just needs to come a little bit more right. But we're gonna keep shooting everything like that just because it's fair to all the broadheads. But we got a pretty decent group here. It's kind of with the Beast and my field points, which is good. we'll call the center of the group about right there, which is about 2 inches from the center of my other group. 4.5 is our group size, 2 inches from the center of that, and then from the center of our beast, probably less than an inch. So pretty good with that. All right, now we got the G5 Deadmeat, 3 shots, and then we'll do the practice heads. Hopefully didn't wreck an arrow. All right, let's go grab those. All right, I'm really happy with that. It's a good group at 60 yards. The problem is that the middle of our group is over here, and the middle of this group is over here. So that's gonna be about 2 inches from our field points, and then the group size, we'll call it the furthest arrows from each other, rated just under 4 1/4. Short intermission. Now we're shooting the practice heads for the G5 Deadmeat. That's right with it. Before you absolutely roast me in the comments, one big variable is of course me. My G5s did both end up kind of low, kind of in the center, so this is the best shot I made. This one I knew was kind of low. For sake of honesty, let's call it 4 1/4 from the center of our main group. Call it 3 inches, and then from the center of our G5 Deadmeat group, so you call it right there, 2 right there, 4.5 inches. Attempt 2, Sever 2.0s. We're gonna shoot 3 arrows. Had more people out on the range. Pretty busy for after work, but that's the thing when you use the public range, I guess. 3 shots, 60 yards, Sevr 2.0. That's a pretty dang good group. Let's go grab the Severs. All right, this is our best group by far, even better than our field points. The bad news is it's probably 2 inches away from our field points. Group size, that's 1 inch by 1 inch. So that's a 1 inch group at 60 yards, 2 inches away from the center. That's a pretty dang good group. All right, we have the Evolution. We got 3 shots with this. All around it, pretty decent group all the way around at 60. We'll say the max distance on that is 4 inches. We'll call the center of our group about right here, which is only an inch off of the center of our field points. I will note, this is the second time I've shot these and they stayed completely closed in the foam. I'm not sure if that's a foam issue or if it needs something harder to open, but I, with low poundage and short draw length, have had a very bad time with front expandables. That one was closed as well, and that one. Just maybe don't have the energy to sweep these all the way back and over. Something I'll have to look into to see if there's a minimum poundage or something. Last group, Evolution field points. Let's go grab those and get out of here. It's a 5-inch group. The middle, I'm gonna say, is an inch away from the center of our field point group, so that's pretty good, even though it's a little bit high to low. The variable in this is definitely me. Let's pull these, pack everything up, head back to the apartment. We'll crunch some numbers for you and give you a conclusion. All right, everybody, we just finished shooting at the shop, doing what I'll call our subjective portion of our testing of these 4 different broadheads. We shot them all and their practice tips if they had them at 60 yards, got group information. But there's also an analytical portion to this. So since the subjective portion is only applicable to me, how good my tune is, how well I shoot that day, how well I shoot that particular group of arrows. We did also want to do an analysis of these that is more technical based on the product itself. So that said, the things that we're measuring are the opening size, the weight difference from a group of 3 broadheads, so how close in weight are all the broadheads to each other. The cost of the broadheads, for $51, it's 0.51, for $55, 0.55, that sort of thing. Then we also took the weight difference from the highest weight to the lowest weight of the broadhead and the field point. We're playing this like a golf game, so the lower the score, the better the broadhead is doing. First, we have the Beast Broadhead. This came in 2nd place overall, but it came in 1st place when you look at just the numbers. So from just the numbers, it has a 2-inch opening, 0.6 differential from all 3 broadheads. So that's awesome. That's a very high tolerance. It is the most expensive, but with that price, you're getting 3 broadheads that are almost exactly the same. 0.6 off is the biggest gap. The weight difference from the practice heads to the actual broadheads was a max of 1.4 grains as well. So that's pretty awesome tolerances with the beast. It did come in second place overall when you look at the groups, but there is that subjective portion to it. Next up, we have the Sever 2.0. This has a 2-inch opening. The weight difference from broadhead to broadhead to broadhead was 0.26. The total cost of these is $51. It came in as a 0.51. And then the total weight difference from field point min to max practice head, because these have a practice mode, was also 2.6. So you could argue that that could be 0 as well. I don't know which one makes more sense, but I put it as 2.6. So this did come in second place out of all of our broadheads. It came in first place when you add the subjective testing, and I'll also talk a little bit about the practice mode, which to me is a huge benefit because I can actually shoot with the broadheads before season, make sure they all fly true. I don't have to worry that there's a difference between the practice head and the regular head. Next up, we have the G5 Deadmeat. Overall, this broadhead came in last place, but it came in third in terms of tolerances and spec analysis. So it says that it is a 2.25 inch cut. Weight difference from broadhead to broadhead was only 2 grains. The cost is only $55, which is the second lowest, so they're very affordable. And then the weight difference from the broadhead to the field point was 3.6 grains. So that's quite high in comparison to all the other broadheads. I will say about this that it does have 3 blades, which means not only does it have the biggest cut opening, but it also has the most drags because of surface area of blades in broadhead compared to the others, which have the blades kind of tucked. That is something to note. Last up, we have the Evolution Outdoors. This has a 2.75 inch cut because it is a hybrid with a blade in the front. It has a weight difference of 1.4 grains, which is the second highest. Not that surprising, just because there's a lot of components there. It costs $64, which is the second highest, and it has a difference from the practice head to the broadhead of 5 grains, which is huge. It is interesting to note that the broadheads that did the worst on the analysis of their specs also did the worst in group shooting. The Sevr, which came in second in the spec analysis, came out to be the first broadhead. That is because it has a relative distance from the practice heads of 0, because they hit right with the practice heads, because they can be used as practice heads. That is a huge benefit to the Severs. This came in first place. The Beast came in second place. Makes also a lot of sense because it came in first place when we looked at the specs of the broadheads. The Evolution Outdoors actually came in last in terms of the specs, but it did come in third place in terms of shooting. One thing I'll note, the reason that this is going to come out of my quiver is because I don't think I shoot enough energy to get these to open. I shot 3 broadheads into cardboard and foam, and not one of them opened. I just don't have the energy to use a front expandable. The analytical portion actually matches a lot with the subjective, so I think there is some merit in the overall values of these tests. I would be curious to know what you think we should be adding to the tests, whether that's adding a gel, different medium, whether it's cardboard, metal, whatever. I'll also be curious what broadheads you think I should add to this testing and what broadheads you would want me to look at that are fixed broadheads, because I plan on doing the same thing for fixed broadheads before elk season, because I do plan on carrying a fixed broadhead into the elk woods. The Sever is the winner. That is going to be my broadhead for antelope hunting. I'm going to run some beasts in it as well, just in case. No longer planning to run Evolution Outdoors in my quiver at all. And then I'll probably hold on to the G5 Deadmeats as a good whitetail broadhead. Makes a good blood trail in North Carolina. That's hugely important. If you'll stay a little bit longer, I have a gospel takeaway this video. I greatly appreciate you watching it. I also want to say a huge thank you to you guys for getting me to 1,000 subscribers almost 4 months before goal. So now we have to redo our goals and set new goals for the coming year, but I can't say how much I appreciate it. So thank you for watching, thank you for commenting, thank you for subscribing over the last 8 months. I really greatly appreciate it. All right, everybody, welcome. This is our second week in the Gospel of John. Every week we're doing a takeaway from the week. That is John 5:24 through 47. We're going to go ahead and read it and then quickly talk about what the passage is saying. Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever hears my word and believes him who sent me has eternal life. He does not come into judgment, but has passed from death to life. Truly, I say to you, An hour is coming and is now here when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, and those who hear will live. For as the Father has life in himself, so he has granted the Son also to have life in himself. And he has given him authority to execute judgment, because he is the Son of Man. Do not marvel at this, for an hour is coming when all who are in the tombs will hear his voice and come out. For those who have done good to resurrection, and those who have done evil to the resurrection of judgment. I can do nothing on my own. As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is just, because I seek not my own will, but the will of him who sent me. If I alone bear witness about myself, my testimony is not true. There is another who bears witness about me, and I know that the testimony that he bears about me is true. You sent to John, and he has borne witness to the truth. Not that the testimony I received is from man, but I say these things so that you may be saved. He was a burning and shining lamp, and you were willing to rejoice for a while in his light. But the testimony that I have is greater than that of John. For the works that the Father has given me to accomplish, the very works that I am doing, bear witness about me, that the Father has sent me. The Father who has sent me has himself borne witness about me. His voice you have never heard, his form you have never seen. And you do not have his word abiding in you, for you do not believe in the one whom he sent. You search the Scriptures because you think that in them you have eternal life, and it is that they bear witness about me. Yet you refuse to come to me, and that you may have life. I do not receive glory from people, but I know that you do not have the love of God within you. I have come in my Father's name, and you do not receive me. If another came in his own name, you will receive him. How can you believe when you receive the glory from one another, and do not seek glory that comes from only God? Do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is one who accuses you, Moses, on whom you have set your hope. For if you believe in Moses, you would believe in me, for he wrote of me. But if you do not believe his writings, how will you believe my words? Jesus is basically saying the reason the Jews don't recognize him is they've done all the work of knowing the word, all the discipline of following the Mosaic law, but they haven't actually let it change their hearts. Otherwise, they would recognize who he is. I think this is really powerful because it tells people like me, who aren't necessarily a theologian or the smartest person in the world, that I don't have to know everything in this book, but if I let this book change my heart and let Jesus into my life, then he will do all the work for me and meet me where I am. I think this is really powerful also because at the end he talks about how he is not an accuser but an advocate for his people, and that he is basically a mediator between us and God, and basically the fulfillment of the Old Testament, the one who is going to come and save us, just not the way that the Jews think it's going to happen. So really strong passage. It emphasizes relationship over knowledge. Obviously, having knowledge of the Word and getting in the Word constantly is a great step, a great discipline, and it helps us get to know God more so that we can have a better relationship. In any relationship you've ever been in, the more you know about your partner, the better you can be in that relationship, and it's the same way for us, but it isn't a requirement. Jesus meets us where we are.